On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, our Chiefs are starting training camp, but not everyone is going to be showing up. We're also going to be looking at all of your other recent Chiefs news. So, first up in Chiefs news, offensive tackle Orlando Brown officially will not be reporting as veterans are set to arrive at training camp today, opting to instead train at Dunkin' Donuts this year. Okay, maybe I made one of those two things up. Creed Humphrey, our center Creed Humphrey, recently stated that he believes that when Brown returns to the team, that Orlando is going to come back ready to go. I think he said ready to roll. And if Creed actually believes that and is watching, hey Creed, I have a great investment opportunity that I'll tell you all about involving a Nigerian prince. You know, about Orlando's absence, head coach Andy Reid stated, if he's here, great. And if he's not, we move on. And until he signs his franchise tag, I think that's about how all of us Chiefs fans feel. In other news, other Chiefs news, linebacker Willie Gay has agreed to a plea deal in his criminal case. This is stemming from his arrest on January 19th earlier this year when he reportedly broke a vacuum during an argument with his baby mama. Also, according to reports, Willie will be required to enter a diversion program as a part of this plea bargain for about 12 months, which will include both mental health counseling and drug and alcohol testing. Willie was, of course, immediately dropped by his main sponsor, Dyson. Okay, maybe I made that up too. In other news, training camp has started, which, wow, isn't that crazy to hear? Training camp has started. Yeah, it's that time of year. It'll be held once again in St. Joe. And I hope our coaches can find a real steal of a player during camp, which is the first thing I ever saw, my first time that I rolled into town in St. Joe, somebody stealing from the dollar store. But the biggest training camp question and really storyline for me is all about the wide receivers. What position group competition is going to be the most important this year at camp? Well, for me, it's got to be the wide receivers. I mean, you got Valdez Scantling and Smith Schuster coming through free agency, Sky Moore getting drafted in the second round, McCall Hardman returning. After you lose your number one wide receiver like we did in Tyreek Hill, and you bring in these three other guys, and now you have four guys all competing, that's a very wide open competition. And it's going to be very interesting to me to see how that pecking order in the wide receiver room is going to shake out at camp, because that could have implications that will last all season on who gets the targets. And hey, real quick, you got to make sure to take a second. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit that button, subscribe button, making sure that you get all the best Chiefs news and analysis out there on the interwebs. In other Chiefs news, unfortunately, wide receiver Justin Ross is heading over to injured reserve, ending his year before it even began. Ross had surgery on his foot, but it really didn't heal like they were expecting, like they were hoping for. So he needed a second surgery on that foot. I know we were all really hopeful that we'd get to watch this undrafted rookie be a steal for our Chiefs, but it looks like that's going to be on hold at least until 2023. In other news, here's my weekly reminder that the Chiefs really need to still sign at least one starting defensive lineman or trade for one. The pickings are getting really slim, okay? Maybe Carlos Dunlap at end. I mean, who knows? But it's nearly too late. They got to get somebody in there. In other news, Madden, the video game, has been releasing its player ratings for its upcoming game this year. And I always laughed every single year at whoever in the world creates these dumb ratings. It's not based on play, it's based more on hype, right? So here's some that I agreed or didn't agree with. Here's a few highlights that touch on our Chiefs from these Madden ratings. Former Chiefs safety Tyrann Mathieu pulled in the top rating in Madden for all safeties in the NFL. Number one, even though PFF graded him as only the 38th best safety in the league last year, and even though he did not crack the top 20 in most interceptions. Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton received a rating of only 79, which I thought was far too low for the explosive, amazing second year linebacker. Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark got a 78, which, yeah, ooh, that is way too high. He should have probably been in the high 60s, or if you're feeling really generous, maybe 70. Travis Kelsey pulled in the top tight end rating in the entire game with a 98, which, yeah, gotta agree with him getting the top spot at his position. And he's also, so far in what's been released, our top rated player in Madden. Creed Humphrey only got an 86, which I think is pretty stupid low for the best center in the league last year. And interestingly, Orlando Brown received an 80, which more or less seems spot on for him. But what do you think? Well, what do you think of the Madden ratings so far? What do you think is the most important position battle this year during training camp? What do you think about Orlando Brown not signing his tag? What do you think about Orlando skipping camp? Leave me all your thoughts in the comments below. Oh, and before we go, I gotta give a shout out to Cole over on his channel. How about those Chiefs? Cole is a great guy, does a great channel, but right now his health is giving him problems. He's trying to figure all that out. So yeah, praying for that guy for sure. But that about does it for the Red and Gold Report this week. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs!